All right, so let's get on with other things. As I said earlier, yes, I vanished for a bit. I don't tend to. I had gone to Israel. I was posting a lot of things from there. Some people were wondering, what the heck is Cory doing over there? What's going on? What's this about? And well, it was an opportunity that came about thanks to the Exigent Foundation and Larry Maher. And I can't think of a better way to explain it than then bring Larry on and talk about what those guys do and why they would sponsor to bring a nutcase like me over to Israel to tour around and look at a few things and learn some stuff. So let's bring Larry in and have a conversation there. Hey, Larry, thanks very much for joining me today.
Hey, Cory, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, very good. Thanks.
Good to be here.
I have just recovered from the jet lag, so I'm almost awake now. It's been much better.
Great.
So, I mean, I guess just to begin with, I'll start with the why. You and Vivian were the founders of the Exigent Foundation. Why did you feel compelled to begin this organization?
Well, shortly after, as you know, October 7th, I was seeing what was going on in Ontario and Toronto specifically with a lot of the protests happening. And I was speaking to friends and family, and I realized that this was going to get a lot worse. And some people didn't believe me. They didn't really understand why. So I decided that I would take a small group of journalists to Israel to basically give them a little bit of an education as to the extremism that surrounds Israel in the Middle East and how it's been here for decades in Canada, in North America, and was going to show its ugly face through our institutions, which we're now seeing through universities, through schools, unions, you name it. And that was the purpose of why we started these missions to Israel.
Well, and personally, I mean, I thought it was very effective. I already had my views and opinions, but still, there's only so much I could know. And as I said to Dave just before that with the check-in, you can't beat having your feet on the ground, talking to other people, and just seeing for yourself. And I mean, I want to clarify that with some people. I mean, you guys weren't there to indoctrinate us. I wasn't sitting there being grilled with lectures or told what to do. You just kind of brought us around and gave us a wide variety of things to see over there.
Yeah, I mean, we went, as you know, we went down south. We went to the Gaza border. We went up north to Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. I mean, that was all done within 4 or 5 days. You see how small the country is. And you had an opportunity to speak to Israelis as well as I believe you spoke to a couple Palestinians, one that used to live in Gaza, one now in Ramallah, and one actually a Palestinian Christian that converted from Muslim to Christianity. I know a couple in the group had an opportunity to speak to. Yeah, it's quite the experience and eye opener. And like you just mentioned earlier with Dave, you can read a book, and books for days and months, but the experience of traveling, at least for me, there's nothing beats that.
No, and part of what you list on the site and what you kind of alluded to earlier too, I mean, a lot of what I've heard from other people is, well, what does it matter to me? What does it mean to me? I'm not worried about that. That's over there. That's their problem. And this extremism is spilling over, as you pointed out, into our universities, into our media over here, onto our streets. We got to see the worst possible outcome of it when it's actually spilled out in a massive, horrific terrorist attack. But we have to be able to point out to people that we aren't insulated from this. That same ideology is over here, even if it's not as immediately vicious.
Exactly. I mean, I brought, now it's about 50 members from Canadian media across Canada, all different, from BC to Quebec, Ontario, yourself from Alberta, a number of people from Alberta, different walks of life. And they're able to apply the extremism, these situations that they're happening in their own communities, and they see how it's coming from the Middle East, this extremist ideology. You can call it, it doesn't matter if it's the far left or the far right. They both have these extreme ideologies. Neither one of them is good. And, the issue that me personally now on a personal level is we don't see very much happening in the center and being able to have a dialogue with people on both sides of the aisle. It's either one extreme, or if you're not on that side, you're an extremist on the other side. But radical Islamists have been for years, and we can look at this as you see through the Muslim Brotherhood. They have been infiltrating our institutions, and people need to start waking up and understand what's going on. As I've said before, in the Middle East, the violence is very different than the indoctrination that they're using here in the West. They do it in a different way. They've learned how to latch on to our liberal ideas and our democracies and use those against us, unfortunately.
Yeah, and bringing us over there, I think at least helped for some who might not know necessarily, like just it is a liberal democracy over there. I mean, it's got challenges, but it's uh, a welcoming place. Meeting the people. I mean, Tel Aviv was something else, and something I noticed while walking down the street was well, a couple of well, everybody's beautiful out there it seems, but a couple of nice looking young men, quite enamored with each other, sitting on a bench having a good time. That's fine, but that couldn't happen anywhere else in the Middle East. Like this bastion of freedom for some people of oppressed minorities. I mean, if Israel disappeared, the Middle East is going to be a much worse place.
Yeah, I mean, look, they don't. You can go back in history. The Arabs don't necessarily all love each other. I mean, if Israel were to disappear tomorrow, there would still be war in the Middle East, as you saw in Syria. It's unstable there. You have Sunnis and Shiites fighting each other. You have ISIS and Al Qaeda that are fighting each other. You have factions. You have about 12 different factions, or 15 different factions in Gaza that are fighting with each other and with Hamas. I mean, Lebanon is trying to stabilize itself by attempting to disarm Hezbollah. It's a very, very unstable situation. And Israel, as I mentioned to you before, this is not a mission to talk about politics. Where every country's got its own issues. You can agree with a government, just like our government here, or disagree with it, and it's the same for Israel. There, it's about the experience of what Israelis are facing as a democracy in the Middle East, and those challenges that they have are coming over here, and they've already come here, and hopefully, it's not too late to deal with them.
Mm. And being able to meet different people and talk with them and get perspectives. God, I'm so terrible with names. I should have written in my notes that the gentleman who took us on the tour of the kibbutz and that got hit so hard. We met him at Vivian's place as well.
Yep,
Uh,
Elon,
there we go. And he was
Kafaraza.
so candid with us, though. I mean, it was a gentleman that clearly was still hurt. Such a vicious, horrible experience. Yet quite blatantly just saying it's got to end. Like he doesn't want more war. He's saying we've got to find a way out of this. Like that picture some people are pointing that Israelis are vengeful or want this battle to go on. I mean, I imagine there's a handful that are that way, but I didn't meet that. I saw people who were wounded and just wanted resolution, though nobody can quite see exactly how to get there yet.
No, exactly. I mean, look, Ilan, was staying in Kfar Aza. That particular kibbutz, they used to have Palestinians from Gaza that would work every day on the kibbutz in a variety of different roles. They were getting paid to do it, and to an extent, they were friends. This was going on for years. And when you stand there at that gate and you're behind you is the horrors of October 7th, and you look straight ahead and you see Gaza. I mean, Cory, that was your house where he's still not living there. He hasn't been living there for 2 years. And you look across, I mean, there's a whole thought. I mean, even when I look across, is how secure is the border right now if I were to move back into my home, into this kibbutz? So I don't know how you felt when you see the horror around you and you look across and you see Gaza. That there's a lot of uncertainty.
Well, that's it. I mean, we've never had to experience that in Canada. Not that sort of fear. I mean, I guess some people would feel there was a sense of complacency that allowed things to build up as badly as they did in Gaza until it spilled over in that worst possible way with the horrific activities of October 7th. So you can see why there's support to somehow eliminate the threat, somehow eliminate Hamas. And yeah, it's easy to say that, but when it's not like a conventional war. The people you're fighting against are intermixed among some innocent civilians. How do you pick them out of the bunch? But you can't just leave it. How do people move back? How do people relax again until they feel it's been resolved? It's just such a mire.
It is. I mean, look, a great example of what you're just saying right now is when we spoke to Izam, the Palestinian, that now lives in Ramallah, and I believe you asked the question. You said, "If can you name?" Asking him, "Can you name any leadership either in Gaza or in the West Bank if there was complete peace right now that he could name to uh, govern the Palestinians in either Gaza or the West Bank or both?" And what was his answer? He didn't have an answer. There's nobody. And so there's not only infrastructure problems, there's governing problems, there's corruption. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. So there's a lot of, issues other than rebuilding Gaza and ending this war. But the Palestinians themselves don't have any clear leadership. I mean, their Mahmoud Abbas he's a terrorist. He's a pay for slay. His PhD that he wrote was the denial of the Holocaust, and he hasn't called elections in decades. And the second person that the Palestinians are insisting, even Hamas, that could possibly run would be Marwan Barghouti, who's serving, I think, 5 or 6 life sentences in Israeli jail right now. So there's an issue. So I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know. Maybe you have some suggestions.
No, the term I've been using to other people when they ask about it is I'm like an old, 486 computer. I've got all
Oh,
this input and now it's spinning and processing and processing and
right.
processing. I haven't figured out how to. I mean, I'd be making far more money or in a better position if I was smart enough to find a solution for
Okay.
that. But I'm closer to it. I've learned a lot. Something thought might show a glimmer on where we should start looking. Maybe when we drove up through Haifa and Jeff pointed aside, here's the town I live in, and right next door there's another town with minarets, and it's an Arab town. I mean, people again forget it's not a exclusively Jewish country. 18% of the country is Arab. Uh, those towns, I mean, they're not integrated. But they're not or weren't at each other's throats either. Like there's got to be room for the communities to live next to each other without trying to kill each other. I imagine attitudes between those two towns are different than those between Gaza and Israel itself. But maybe it's some of those relationships we could start looking at and trying to figure out how we could try and make some of these things work.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I mean, I don't know. I know a little bit what's going on in Alberta, but I can tell you in Ontario, on any given day here, we have protests in the not in the hundreds anymore, it'd be in the thousands. Pro Hamas rallies, pro terrorist rallies, whatever you want to call them. And I don't, I believe if someone can correct me if I'm wrong, there has not been one protest in Israel by any pro Hamas crowd in any Arab village since 10 October 7th. So this is a problem that's happening here in the West because that's not happening in Israel. Arabs and Israelis and Christians are able and Jews are able to live side by side. They get along, and I'll also point out not only there are no protests in Israel. On 2 different occasions where I've been in Israel, on one occasion, Hezbollah had fired, I think it was around 20 rockets while we were heading up north. One of the rockets, a couple of them actually landed in the village next to where we were going, an Arab village, killed, I believe he was 21 years old. One of the journalists had said to myself and another person, what would Hezbollah say knowing that they killed an Israeli Arab? And the answer was they don't care. They don't care if you're Arab, they don't care if you're Christian, and they don't care if you're Jewish or what you are. Straight, gay, doesn't matter. And the same thing as when we went up north in Migdal Shams. Hezbollah fired rockets, landed in a schoolyard, in a soccer yard that killed, 10 or 12 Druze children while they were playing soccer. These are not Jews. They are targeting anything and anybody in Israel, period. The existence of Israel is not in their vocabulary.
No, and I mean, it's something that really drove me nuts prior to the trip, and even more so now, is the people even trying to soft sell or deny or undercut the atrocities of what happened on October 7th. You could differ with Israeli policy or even, the existence of Israel, even, which, I don't, but I mean, so people could, but to try and even slightly justify what happened that day. And boy, you guys didn't sugarcoat it for us, but we needed to see that. For anybody who's seen, that horrific video and see the sites, the music festival, the kibbutz, and it should change anybody's perspective if they're human. And I think just we need more outreach to people to understand whatever the solution is to this. Actions like that can never be accepted, and it's never be a course of action for changing a state.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, Israel is a sovereign state. It's a nation. It's been around since 1948, and it was invaded by a government of Hamas. They sent thousands of people in and invaded a sovereign state. They didn't hold them hostage in Israel. They brought them back across their border, and they've held them hostage even till today, dead or alive. Any other country in the world that's had an invasion like this and people been taken back across the border as a hostage, any other country go back and get their citizens. They would do it immediately. I mean, I don't want to discuss, the timing of going into Gaza and all that sort of thing, but the fact that is, I mean, if Canada went into Buffalo and October 7th happened in Buffalo, you can be sure that the United States within seconds would be back over here and collect every last U.S. citizen, no matter what happens. And the same for most countries around the world. So this whole narrative that's going on right now, to me, is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't even entertain it.
No, and it's maddening. Thankfully, at least the living hostages are back as horrible with what they had to endure, and hopefully the last of the remains come
Yep.
in. Just a lot of people might not realize just how sacred the remains are for Jewish people as well. I mean, it's sacred for everybody with their family members, but even more so in that case. But either way, I've run out the segment. I appreciate you taking the time. I really appreciate you bringing myself and Dave out there. It was enlightening. I feel I'm better. I don't have the answers, but I'm a little bit closer to it than I had been prior to going. Before I let you go, where can people find information on the foundation to find out more about it or support it or anything of that sort?
They can go to exigentfoundation.org and they will find the information on there, and they can send us emails, donations, whatever they like.
All right. Well, excellent. Thank you very much again, Larry. Hope we get to talk again sometime soon, and please keep up that good work.
For sure. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it.